Good evening. I will now call to order the April 13, 2023 Clackamas County Board of Commissioners business meeting. Gary Schmidt, please take the roll.
Thank you, Chair Smith. First, our staff support today. Clerk to the Board, Tony Mayernick. County Counsel, Stephen Madcore. Roll call, Commissioner Shull.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Commissioner Schrader.
Here.
Commissioner Savas.
Present.
Chair Smith.
Here, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. We are holding this meeting in person and virtually. If you've joined us via Zoom for this meeting and are interested in providing public comment, we will prompt you regarding how to do that when the time is right. General public comment will be taken at the usual allotted time. I would like to remind all participants, including staff, all elected officials, and members of the public that Robert's Rules of Order will be enforced in this business meeting. We welcome your opinions and look forward to your polite participation. Administrator Gary Schmidt, can you introduce the first item?
Yes, Chair Smith. First is a public hearing, review of 2022 community development programs and proposed 2023 action plan. Mark Soroy and Denise Swanson from Health, Housing, and Human Services will present.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I am Denise Swanson, the Deputy Director for Health, Housing, and Human Services, and my colleague, Mark Soroy. And we are here to talk to you tonight about our 2023 Community Development Action Plan. Mark's going to give a short presentation before we open the public hearing. Thank you.
Great.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Mark Soroy here. Good evening. Thank you for your time today. As a participating jurisdiction receiving 3 federal formula grants, Clackamas County Community Development Program is required by U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to prepare and submit an annual plan that outlines its policies, projects, and services for meeting local needs for affordable housing, homeless services, new public facilities, existing public facility improvements, and neighborhood improvements throughout Clackamas County. Today's public hearing gives the board and the public the opportunity to ask questions and provide feedback about our fiscal year 2023 annual plan. This year's plan is the second year of our 5-year consolidated plan. The purpose of the annual plan is to provide accountability and transparency to the community development program, to the community, to the board, and to HUD. The plan highlights achievements and identifies any program changes in the coming year. The plan also includes 3 grant applications: the Community Development Block Grant, the Home Investment Partnerships Grant, and the Emergency Solutions Grant. The public engagement process for this plan began when we requested CDBG applications in December of 2021, and more recently with an online public meeting on February 22nd. The meeting was for the county staff to hear any community needs or concerns, to answer any questions about the need for grant funding, to clarify what types of projects and services are eligible for grant funding, and to inform people how to apply for grant funds. The public meeting was advertised in the Lake Oswego Review, the Clackamas Review, and the Oregon City News on February 9th, and the public meeting notice was also distributed by email to a list of interested persons on our citizen participation list. On March 8th, program staff held a meeting with our Policy Advisory Board to discuss the draft plan and funding recommendations that are part of your packet. The Policy Advisory Board consists of 15 city managers or their representatives. The group discussed the funding recommendations, provided comments on projects, asked questions, and confirmed the schedule for the next funding cycle, which begins in the fall of 2024. Today's hearing was noticed in the Lake Oswego Review, the Clackamas Review, the Oregon City News on March 16th. The notice was also emailed to the list of persons on our participation list. The public notice included instructions for submitting comments on the plan and a link to our webpage to where citizens could view the draft plan. A 30-day public comment period began on March 16th and ends on Monday, April 17th. To date, there's no comments that have been received aside from those that we got during the February public meeting, although I am aware that some testimony was submitted for tonight's public hearing. The community development program change I'd like to highlight is that we are changing our procurement method to reduce county contract liabilities. We are now evaluating each CDBG project to determine if the partner agency has the capacity to bid the project and administer the contracts on its own. Our past practice was to do all the bidding ourselves on behalf of our partner agencies. And the county board would sign each construction contract and any change orders. This change will shift the responsibility and the risk to our partners so that they can take on that contracting and procurement responsibility. This change will also reduce the number of contracts coming before the board for signature, and it will reduce the amount of contractor payments processed by county finance. Again, we'll review that on a case-by-case basis with our partner agencies to see which one have the capacity to bid the project and administer the contracts. Much of the plan is required format and forms, but the highlights of the plan include an explanation of the Housing and Community Development Division organizational structure to better align services, projects, and funding. This is an ongoing division restructuring effort that includes county staff, HUD, and community partner agencies. A list of recent accomplishments includes the Sandy Sidewalk project near the Sandy Clinic. We're almost done with the Oregon City Clackamas Volunteers in Medicine project. And we also recently helped fund the Fuller Station Affordable Housing Project near the town center in Happy Valley. As listed in the staff report, the plan details the project activities and services that are planned with this funding in the coming year. Also included in this plan are summaries of activities by the county, the Housing Authority, to build more affordable housing, services provided by social services to bring people out of poverty, and the Continuum of Care Homeless Services coordination with the Metro's Housing Supportive Services to bring people into housing with services. Okay, the next steps after this hearing. The board has time to review this plan and provide any comments that would be included in the plan. The public review period, though, ends on Monday, April 17th. The final plan with all board and comments included in the plan and the 3 separate grant applications will come back before you on May 4th for review and approval. The plan's due date to HUD is May 15th. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. I have a few questions. Anybody wanting to apply for HUD funds for upcoming projects, that's still available?
So our next funding cycle begins in the fall of 2024, and then at that time we'll collect project applications and
All of
proposals.
2024. So all the monies have been allocated for 2023, is what you're saying?
Correct. As listed in the staff report and also in your packet is a list of funding recommendations for 3 years. We've allocated projects also for the next year, 2024, but we don't know how much funding we have yet. So we'll be back next year in April with a plan for 2024.
Okay, good, thank you. You say that you're reducing the amount of contracts being offered to the Board of County Commissioners, and there's one project in particular that had many cost overruns that we had to approve just to get the project done. So how do we continually to notify the public in the event that these projects go over budget and the final accounting of the cost of these projects? That's the only thing that I don't like. Money's going out, but yet we don't know how much, we don't know where, and the public doesn't know either.
So, Madam Chair, so on those projects, with each of our projects, we have what's called a funding agreement, where that comes before you. Generally, it's between a nonprofit and the county that says, we're going to help with this project and we're going to give you a certain amount of CDBG funds. But then the partner is responsible for the remaining amount. So all of those funding agreements will come before the board.
Okay, why have you changed this?
We were advised by county council to try to reduce the liabilities, because one of the reasons is with let's say a community project in the city of Gladstone, for instance. As an example, we give the city of Gladstone $150,000 for a sidewalk project. So in the past, We would help them bid that project, and let's say that project came in and the total cost was $300,000. There would be no county money in that project. It would be CDBG money and the City of Gladstone's money. And then, but all those, the contract would come through the county because we're trying to help the city complete the project. But there would be no county money in it except for the CDBG funds.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Schrader?
Yeah, are you aware then what the most recent federal conversations have been about funding HUD at this point? Are you getting numbers?
I don't have any estimates. Maybe through the National Association of County Organizations, NACO, they might know, but
I can call them. I'm chair of the committee that deals with HUD funding, and we usually do a resolution every year to make sure, but I wanted to make sure people understand that really when we do that resolution, it's funding HUD as a whole. But could you tell people the money is allocated, I'm asking staff, is allocated by formula. So the more money that is allocated at the federal level with the formula, we would actually get more dollars. Is that correct to say
That's
that?
correct,
Okay. I just
Commissioner Schrader. Yeah.
wanted to clarify that.
I
Thank
I
you.
was hoping to get a larger allocation in these grants, but I think, yeah, it was allocated. There was an increase in other areas, but not these particular grants.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Savas?
Yeah, well, I've always really been fond of this program, and I've also noticed, I don't know if you always do it, but I also appreciate the signage nearby. Usually there's signage on the street or the sidewalk, wherever it may be, that this is a CDBG-funded project and so on. So, and I love the fact that it spreads the investments around the county and all the cities. So, you know, kudos to all you. Getting back on the line of questions that the chair was asking, will this reduce our administrative burden or increase our administrative burden?
Well, we'll still have responsibilities in each of the projects because even though we're going to have, I'll use the example of a city bidding the project, we are still required by HUD to monitor that project. We have to do what's called environmental reviews. We have to do Davis-Bacon wage monitoring. So we have to be on the construction site interviewing people to make sure they're getting paid the right wage. So somewhat, to answer your question, Commissioner, somewhat, but we have a lot of projects to do, so and only 2 project coordinators, so there's a lot of projects to get done.
So, Chair, I have a question for Mr. Madcore.
Go ahead.
I'm just thinking back to the Carver Bridge and the pipeline. Are we potentially setting ourselves up for multiple parties and more complications when something goes wrong? I mean, I just don't want to repeat. I know it's not the same thing, but the scenario could.
No CBDG funds were used for that project that I
I know
know
that.
of.
Oh, I
And
know
that
that.
one was an anomaly of sorts, I think. We've tried to avoid those types of contracting arrangements, but I think what Mark Soroy is presenting right now makes sense, and I think it does relieve the administrative burden from the county and imposes it on the entity that's benefiting from it, such as, in this example, the City of Gladstone. We're not doing a lot of the bidding and RFP process for it, but we do still have to do administration and monitoring of the project. So I think it actually reduces county exposure and risk liability.
Okay, and it sounds like he stated clearly that the initial reason for this was your request from your office regarding risk liability, a reduction of. So I just didn't know in a scenario where something goes wrong, is that solely on the city? It sounds like it probably isn't.
It depends what the allegation would be.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Commissioner Scholl?
I think Commissioner Sophis's question and the council's answer just answered my question.
Great, thank you. I need the comments from commissioners at this time. I will now open the public hearing and ask if there's anybody in the room who would like to testify on the 2023 action plan, and I happen to have a couple of cards. So, first up is Dan Hahn. Please come forward, state your name, area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Dan Hahn. I am the North Willamette Valley Habitat for Humanity Executive Director. I actually live in Marion County. in Silverton at 1521 Lakeview Drive. I don't know how much information you guys need for that, but I'm here tonight to really support this plan moving forward. In there is a budget ask for CDBG money for Habitat for Humanity, and it says South Clackamas. And that what we're asking for, and what we've talked to Mark and his team about, is $550,000 to purchase land to work on building some affordable housing here in South Clackamas County. So this is affordable housing. This is homeowner affordable housing. So this is that end of the affordable housing spectrum, where we work with homeowners, we work with home buyers to build a house with them so that they are able to be homeowners and benefit from many things connected to owning a home. Stability, financial, the ability to accrue wealth, all of the things that come with home ownership. So really here tonight to thank you guys for your support for that. I know that the affordable housing crisis is a difficult crisis to address. There is no silver bullet for it. There is no single fix. But at Habitat for Humanity, we really like to work on the end of the spectrum there around getting people who are hardworking but haven't had an opportunity to buy a home. And that's our goal, and I really appreciate Clackamas County helping us realize our mission and realize our goal of building homes for those folks. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Don. I love Habitat for Humanity, and as I was telling you when I was in the legislature, the legislators went out and actually tried to construct. I mean, it was very prescriptive what we did with our hard hats and tool belts, I'm telling you. And Senator Jackie Winters and I, we went out and did that, and we cut some boards and nailed some nails, and it was quite a fun project. And I love it. It gives people a start. It's just a wonderful project. Any other commissioners?
Yeah, I know that you've done quite a bit of work in Mount Angel, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct, in the Mid-Willamette Valley?
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
done work from kind of our area. There's 24
Yeah.
habitats in Oregon. Our area starts in the south in Silverton,
Right.
up to Mount Angel, Woodburn, Canby, back down to Malala. So
Probably be Canby and Malala. I was kind
Yeah,
of trying to get a feeling is where you'd be doing some habitat
Yeah.
housing. And I know the sisters there very well in the monastery, the abbot, so I have a fondness for Mount Angel. But it seems to me that I had remembered that you'd worked with them before, so.
Thank you, Commissioner Schrader. Thank you, Don, for coming forward. Up next, Pat Torson. Please state your name, your area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Patricia Torson. I live at 1001 Bear Creek Drive in Malala. And I am with the Malala Area Seniors, and we are trying to build a new building. Currently, we are meeting in the center of the Foothills Church Complex, and we have over 300 members now, and we are a very active center. We are supplying congregate meals, the Meals on Wheels, in conjunction with Malala Adult Community Center. We're combined, we're the governing board over them, and we are doing everything we can to raise money to build this new center. We're making Kleenex holders, pot holders. We're going to towns and doing different events. We're including all the surrounding towns because it's Malala Area Seniors. This doesn't just mean Malala. This is Colton, Markham, Malino, all over. And we want all of the seniors from these areas to participate. We have a bus that goes out and brings them in to the center so that they're not lonely, that they come in and have congregate meals at the center and share camaraderie with the other people. I have seen a lot of seniors in the past that have been bruised by family members, locked in closets, starved to death. I don't want that happening anymore. I don't want to see any more of that. This is something that we all need in our communities, is a center like this to help older people survive in their old age and enjoy it. Wednesdays, they go out to outings and enjoy lunches, or they go to the Tulip Festival or whatever, but they're happy. And I work at the reception desk there on Tuesdays, and I get the phone calls from the people that are so lonely and want to get to the center. It's so important. And so we need to have our own center. And there are just so many activities going on there. We have foot clinic, we have quilters make quilts, we have ping pong, and there's bingo on Fridays. There's music. They have a guy comes in and sings and plays the guitar and stuff at the meal time or whatever. We have lawyer comes in and helps them if they need assistance with anything. It's a wonderful place. They are happy. They get off our bus and come there, and they're just elated. Oh, hi, and they go in to see their friends. It's a place where seniors can be happy, and that's what we need. And we need more of it all over. But we are trying to build a new building. And I guess my time is up.
Thank you, Pat. Yes, and I went out and listened to your proposal last Friday, I believe it was, and we were putting that forward to the people that were in the room and figure out what we need to do if and how we can help you. It's a wonderful program. Thank you very much for coming forward.
Thank you.
Tony, is there anyone online who would wish to testify on this particular plan?
Madam Chair, we will begin with Rich Truitt. Rich Truitt, please state your name and area of residence. You will have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Go ahead.
My name is Rich Truitt. I live in Wilsonville in Clackamas County. And I am attending the meeting remotely this evening because I'm on grandpa duty. But I am here along with Dan Hahn, the executive director for North Willamette Valley Habitat. As Dan explained, our intent with the proposed grant funding for CDBG is to work with our partner families to establish an opportunity for home ownership for those families who are making below normal income or typical income for the area. But through the work of our volunteers and our habitat model, we are able to provide a home ownership opportunity with the partner families who are committed to providing 500 hours of sweat equity toward the construction of their homes. So it is a very sound program that provides an opportunity for folks who otherwise would not be able to afford a home. So with that, I do want to extend a thanks to the county commissioners for considering this, and I do want to thank the community development program staff for their assistance and guidance as we have worked through the application process. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody would have.
Well, thank you, Rich, for contributing to that. Anybody else?
That is the end of my registered list. If you would like to testify on this hearing, please use the raise hand feature, and I will call on you in the order received. Madam Chair, I do not have any hands raised.
Thank you, Tony. I will now close the public hearing and ask if there is any further discussion. I see none. Staff are directed to submit the plan for adoption at an upcoming business meeting. Gary, what's next?
Thank you, Chair. Next, would you please convene as the Water Environment Services Board?
I will recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as a Water Environment Services.
You are now meeting as the Board of Directors for Water Environment Services. This is also a public hearing. First reading of an ordinance adopting rules and regulations for Water Environment Services. Ron Waringa is the Assistant Director of Water Environment Services. Go ahead, please.
Great, thank you, Gary. Good evening, Chair Smith and members of the board. I'm Ron Waringa, Assistant Director with Water Environment Services. Before you this evening, we have the first of 2 hearings for you to consider approval of an ordinance adopting updated rules and regulations for WES. The effect of the ordinance would be to repeal WES's existing rules and adopt the revised draft included in the materials. I need to note for you a mistake that I made in the board packet. We had a version of the rules that we reviewed with the board at policy sessions in March. That was a February version. We amended the rules, we edited the rules after the policy session to include some administrative changes, including clarification of Administrator Schmidt's role and property management for West Properties. We inadvertently attached the February version to your board packet. The April version of the rules and regulations has been on our website and has been available to the public since we noticed the hearing. I just noticed that earlier this evening. We discussed it with County Council, and we were advised we can proceed forward as this is the first reading of the rules and regulations, but I needed to acknowledge that before we get going. I apologize for that error. Water Environment Services is an intergovernmental partnership formed by Clackamas County Service District Number 1, the Tri-City Service District, and the Surface Water Management Agency of Clackamas County. Currently, each of those service districts, the service areas associated with the 3 underlying districts, is governed by a separate and distinct section of the West Rules and Regulations. The district rules are established to serve a public use and promote the orderly and uniform administration of district affairs and the general welfare of residents using the district's sanitary and stormwater systems. In order to do this in the most effective and efficient way, we need to adopt an updated set of rules for the operation of WES. The goal of this project was to combine, update, and revise the current WES rules and form one set of rules with overlapping administrative authority, definitions, and regulations, therefore creating consistent governance throughout WES's service area. Added benefits of a rule update include improving regional alignment with the county and cities we serve, addressing new regulatory requirements, and updating policies to reflect new technologies and approaches. The effort to develop the new set of WES rules began in 2018. WES staff implemented a comprehensive outreach and engagement process to form the foundation of the revised rules. The process included listening sessions with stakeholders who use the rules frequently, including developers, development engineers, and planners, formation of a technical task force of development engineers and staff from partner cities in the county, community briefings to interest groups, neighborhood associations, business community members, and at informational forums, and a broad public review process that included the publication of a public review draft and multiple presentations to the WES Advisory Committee. The proposed rules and regulations have been thoroughly vetted and are ultimately recommendations based on industry expertise and input. County Council has reviewed and approved the rules. On March 16, 2022, the WES Advisory Committee voted to recommend the board adopt the revised rules and regulations. And our committee chair, Diana Helm, is in the audience this evening. Key policies were presented to this board for consideration at 2 separate policy sessions on March 15th and March 29th this year. If approved and adopted by the board after the second reading, the new rules and regulations would go into effect July 1st, 2023. We thank you for your consideration of this matter. Staff recommends the board read the ordinance adopting rules and regulations for Water Environment Services by title only and authorize a second reading to be scheduled May 4th, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Before we continue, I would like County Council and/or Gary Schmidt to address what was previously omitted that we don't know about. Because I haven't seen anything, and this is the first time hearing it, and I don't like surprises. What is it?
I'll do it. I can do it. So it was discussed at a policy session you had where it was actually my recommendation. It was the administrative policy that allows the Director of Water Environment Services, Greg, to close district facilities using his judgment. And I only asked, can you add the district administrator, me, as well, because that more aligns with county code on other district operations. We verbally gave you that update at the policy session. You all agreed. So you have not seen that update policy, which is correct, but you did discuss it at your policy session. It just adds the title district administrator. That's
Well, that
the
is
one
more
change.
clear. I think Commissioner Savas has a comment.
Yeah, so on that note, slightly related, but not quite. The issue about slope, and as I understand it, thank you, Ron and Greg, for meeting with me to, afterwards have a discussion. But I'm still not comfortable with reducing the slope piece, right? And let alone making it an administrative rule. So the connection here is that, not administrative rule, but making it approved simply by the administrator. So does that include administrator approval, or is it just, again, internally? My guess is it's probably just done internally, and I just have a concern about that. I have a concern about the policy change altogether on that one, on the slope. The rest of it, 99% of it I'm okay with. I want to thank the committee for all their work and everything else like that, but, people that do this for a living, some of our friends of mine, I hear this a lot. I hear issues about slope and settling and challenges they have in their work, going to fix people's problems and sometimes realizing that the problem is really not the lateral from the home to the street, it's the lateral itself that's causing the problem. Or not the lateral, but the conveyance line out in front of the home.
Main line.
Main line.
Yes, Commissioner, as we discussed, our proposals, the technical standards for the design of sanitary sewer pipes that are owned by the district are included in the technical standards that are adopted by the district director and are not part of the rules and regulations. So that is a separate piece from the rules and regulations that you're considering tonight. We're certainly aware of your concern, and we can have further conversations about that as we go along, but the proposal remains the same as it was presented in policy sessions.
Okay, so when will we have that, when will that come to us for approval with the issues regarding the slope?
Well, we can have a conversation with the board about the sanitary sewer technical standards. We presented those policies to you at the policy sessions in March. Along with the rules and regulations, we've revised the technical standards as well, and we would adopt those immediately after the rules and regulations are adopted. The rules require compliance with those technical standards separately.
Okay. I'm just giving you a heads up,
Yep,
at least where I'm at.
Thank you, Ron, for bringing that forward. Any further questions of this board? I will now open the public hearing and take in-person testimony first. And I don't see anybody who wants to testify on this issue in the room. Tony, do we have anybody online?
Madam Chair, I will begin with Laura Rost. Please state your name and area of residence. You will have 3 minutes.
Hi there. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Laura Rost. I am on the board of the North Clackamas Watersheds Council. I live in Milwaukee, Oregon, and I am testifying on behalf of the council. Hopefully I can keep this under 3 minutes. I'll try. I would like to start by thanking Wes for working with us in the community as we all serve while developing this expansive rework. We appreciate your long-standing work protecting our watersheds and your willingness to put such principles into writing and policies, and we look forward to remaining involved. Thank you for having such an integrated approach with these rules and standards. There are many elements of the draft standards that we support, but we have some feedback on things we think that could be made stronger. Regarding stormwater standards, we are concerned that the 10-year storm event that drives stormwater sizing is inadequate. While this is based on past rainfall, we know that with climate change, when changing weather patterns, more intense storms, we'll continue to see changes in the future. We believe the facility standards should address both the hydro modification effects of smaller 2-year design storms and larger storm events that affect both water quality and hydrology. We understand that you're part of an interagency group working to model these changes, but in the meantime, using precautionary principles, we believe that we should be looking at stormwater guidelines that set a margin of safety that address both the lower hydro modifying flows and impacts to both water quality and hydro modification for more frequent intense storms. We applaud the encouragement of applicants to seek out pre-application meetings with WES and the local planning authority for stormwater design, but there needs to be, we have some feedback as far as that process. We'd like to see low impact development and green infrastructure as an integrated part of the design early on, before applicants have invested funds in the design of gray infrastructure, to which they then feel committed for fear of not wanting to have to invest in a second design. And we'd like to see land use approval to include stormwater management plans. Within the pre-development hydrology, we support grass as a pre-development state for redevelopment, and a map-based establishment of pre-development state for new development. And we just feel that this will both provide a more accurate matching to the pre-development conditions and stronger watershed protections.
Thank you very much. You can submit the rest of your suggestions by email at clackamas@bcc. Clackamas?
bcc@clackamas.us.
bcc@clackamas.us, excuse me. Thank you very much for your contribution. Tony, anybody else?
That is the end of my registered list. If you would like to testify on this hearing, please use the raise hand feature, and I'll call on you in the order received. Madam Chair, I do not have any hands raised.
Well, thank you very much. I want to thank staff and the board and everybody who's worked on this. I know it was a huge, huge, heavy lift. I know you put a lot of time, thought, care, and consideration in this, and it's just really important work. Some people may be critical, but we do the best what we can with what we have to work with. And our county has seen an extreme amount of growth, and organizations like this just don't turn on a dime. But we can plan for the future, and I think that's what this plan does. I will close the public hearing and ask if there's any further discussion. Commissioner Scholl.
Yes, Ron, were you able to hear the input from the North Clackamas Watershed Council that Ms. Ross just mentioned during the writing of the new regulations?
Yes, Commissioner, we met with the watershed councils, North Clackamas and a few others on a couple of occasions, and they also submitted input on the public review draft that we put out regarding our stormwater management standards, very, very similar to what we heard this evening.
Okay.
I would say I think we are taking a step in the right direction, and what we're putting forth in terms of stormwater management standards for development projects is right where we need to be. Right now, we have regulatory requirements with our municipal stormwater permit to require stormwater management facilities on new development, and what we're putting forth right now complies with that permit. The permit also requires us in the next couple of years to reevaluate the effectiveness of those standards, and we will do that sometime in the next couple of years. I'm pretty confident that what we're putting forth right now will comply with those future permit requirements as well. But yes, we certainly heard that input.
Okay, thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Good. Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner West.
Your Honor, I move that we read the ordinance by title only.
Thank you, but I'm not an honor.
I think that's the right term, though. I still think that's the right term.
Okay.
Am I technically right, Your Honor?
Chair,
elected?
Chair's good enough.
Okay, we want to be less formal. Chair, I move we read the ordinance by title only.
Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner West has moved we read the ordinance by title only, and Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Tony, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Apologies. Director Schrader.
Aye.
Director Savas.
Aye.
Director Scholl.
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, the motion is approved 5-0. Will the clerk please assign a number and read the ordinance by title only?
Ordinance will be numbered 02-2023, an ordinance adopting rules and regulations for water environment services.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Do the commissioners have any proposed changes or amendments to the draft ordinance at this time? Seeing none, the second reading will be Thursday, May 4, 2023, at the board's regularly scheduled business meeting at 10 a.m. Thank you all for who participated in this. Your work is noted. Gary, what's next?
Chair, would you please reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners?
I will adjourn as the Water Environment Services and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners.
Next is the consent agenda for the Board of County Commissioners. Tony, would you please read the consent agenda?
Clackamas County Consent Agenda, elected officials, item 1, approval of previous business meeting minutes for the Board of County Commissioners. Health, Housing, Human Services, item 1, approval of personal services contract with the Mental Health Association of Oregon for adult peer-delivered services. Contract value is $203,223.66 for 22 months. Funding is through the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved. Item 2, approval of amendment number 8, increasing funding of an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority to finance community mental health, addiction treatment, recovery and prevention, and problem gambling services. Amendment value is $3,000 for 6 months. Agreement value is increased to $15,401,689.98 for 1.5 years. Funding is through the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved. Transportation and Development, item 1, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the State of Oregon Department of Corrections for work crew labor. Total value is $25,000 for 4.67 years. Funding is through county park user fees and other park revenue sources. No county general funds are involved. Item 2, approval of an on-call contract with DKS Associates for traffic engineering services. Total contract value is $150,000 for 2.25 years. Funding is through the County Road Fund. No county general funds are involved. Item 3, approval of an on-call contract with Kittleson and Associates for traffic engineering services. Total contract value is $150,000 for 2.25 years. Funding is through the County Road Fund. No county general funds are involved. Madam Chair, that concludes the list.
Thank you very much. Does any commissioner wish to remove any item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
Commissioner Schrader has moved that we approve the consent agenda, and Commissioner Shull has seconded that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Tony, please take the poll.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Shull.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. We're just ripping through this. Up next is public communication. And before I read this big, long preamble, is there anybody in the room who would like to testify? We have some online. This portion of the agenda shall be limited to items of county business which are properly the object of board consideration and should be nonpartisan in nature, as the BCC is a nonpartisan governing body under Oregon Revised Statutes and County Code. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes. Comments shall be respectful and courteous to all. As a reminder, you can email submissions for public comment at bcc@clackamas.us, and these will be accepted as part of the public record. I will now open the meeting for public testimony, and I do not see any in-person testimony. However, Tony, we have some folks online.
We do, Madam Chair. I will begin with Tammy Stevens. Tammy Stevens, please state your name and area of residence. You will have 3 minutes.
Good evening. Tammy Stevens here, a citizen of Clackamas County, living in the Hamlet of Beaver Creek area. I was listening to a business meeting, a week or two ago, where you all were discussing the removal of the historic overlay on the Karis School. And I noted that Martha had several concerns and questions about losing historic buildings and overlays in Clackamas County, and more importantly, like what's going on with the building. So I thought I would tell you.
Thank you.
Really quick, there was a family that was interested in taking the building down to Maxburg Road. And it was going to be used as like a farm stand, produce, maybe some craft stuff. And at the time of your hearing, that plan was still in place. Unfortunately, the plan that the family pulled back. Thank goodness the community had approached the Hamlet of Beaver Creek and had shared their concern that if this fell through, the last thing they wanted was this building torn down. So behind the scenes, we've been working with Joy Field, senior planner, and we had a plan B in place for moving and finding a location for it. So we were kind of ready in case this happened. A couple weeks ago, it happened. So it is now in our lap. We do in fact have the transportation of the building, all the services set up, a location. It's going to remain in the Karis area. It will be used as a community center for things like the Oregon City Children's Theater, maybe Hamlet meetings, yoga classes, who knows. We are seeking a 501c3 status and we'll be fundraising, as this will take quite a bit of money. And I think that's everything I can think to tell you about it at this moment. We are working steadily with Joy Fields to assure that all the proper permits are being secured. And we do have the chair of the committee that's making this happen. Her name is Chris Ritter. And she's also out in the Zoom world right now, and she wants to come on and share with you why we're going to all of this effort. So unless you have any questions, that's really all I wanted to share.
Tammy, are you saying you have another person on your connection who would like to speak?
Not on my connection, Chair. She is requesting to speak as a separate 3-minute Zoom person.
Yes, we would prefer that. Thank you very much. I'm really glad you updated this board. Martha Schrader would like to comment.
Yeah, thanks so much, Tammy. I do worry that we have some of these historic structures, and I really appreciate you guys stepping up to the plate to solve the problem. Especially these old schoolhouses are hard to come by, and I'm glad you guys are working on it. So thanks for the clarification.
You bet.
More than welcome.
Thank you, Tammy. Tony, who's next?
Next up, Chris Ritter. Chris Ritter, please state your name and area of residence. You will have 3 minutes.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Chris.
My name is Chris Ritter, and I live in the Canby School District with an Oregon City address. And I was a teacher at Karis School from 1974 to 2004.
Wow.
And I first fell in love with this old white Karis School building then. I was married in 1974 to a family who had history here also. My husband's grandfather, Carl Schmeiser, was the contractor builder when the building was completed in 1926. His 5 children attended Karis School, one of whom is my mother-in-law, who is now 97 years old. A committee called ourselves the Friends of the Old White Karis Schoolhouse was formed in 2013 with the goal of restoring the building to a condition that would honor it as a historic school building and allow the community to use it as a resource. And we worked through 2015 with Canby School District and realized that that partnership was not viable. And we took a leave of absence asking Canby School District to ask us to reconvene our work when they were ready. Then in 2021, the Karis White building came up for sale for $1 with the requirement of moving it. And then in August of 2022, Canby School District informed me that they were working with a potential buyer, and I think Tammy alluded to that. We called her the Plan A person, and we were all behind that she was gonna save our beautiful building. We were very happy about that. Then in November of 2022, I saw a notice of a meeting with the Historic Review Board where Canby School District was asking for permission to have the building moved or demolished if it couldn't be moved. And that raised me to a new awareness about demolish. And so in December of 2022, I requested with the Historic Review Board that if the sale did not go through as planned, to not approve demolition. Then the Historic Review Board showed that the building could be protected from demolition until July 1, 2023. So the community group that I had that has many people working toward this goal of saving this building has been following the progress, as we call ourselves the Plan B group, that was in place in case the Plan A person didn't follow through, which is exactly what happened. And on March 22nd, we became the Plan A. So we learned that that plan was not going to happen, and we are now in charge of the project, getting the building moved. We've known about for 3 weeks, and we had a Plan B somewhat in place, and we're refining those plans at this moment, making good progress toward this goal, and very happy to be working with Beaver Creek Hamlet in doing this.
Thank you very much, Chris. I'd like to make a point of clarification for anybody listening out there that may have tuned in to this for the first time. This very old historic school is owned by the Canby School District at the Kara School location. The Canby School District, because this building is no longer usable, has decided that they need to move it. And the only authority, and correct me, Stephen, if I'm wrong, is to allow it to be happened to, take away the overlay historic district? Is that what we did?
You have a historic district overlay on that property, and they want to remove that, and that's coming for the board's consideration. I believe that is next week. You already had a land use hearing on that itself. And the reason they can't rehab the building is for seismic purposes, and it's old and dated. But the first thing to do is to remove the historic district overlay, and then they can relocate the building.
And that falls under our jurisdiction because the law says so. Okay, but thank you, and I'm very happy that this school has found a home. Tony, anyone else?
That is the end of my registered list. If there is anyone else who would like to testify, please use the raise hand feature, and I will call on you in the order received. Madam Chair, I do not have any hands raised.
Thank you very much. I will now close the public testimony portion of this hearing, and we will move on. Gary, what's next?
Oh, next is
Next is a telephone.
game of telephone. Hi. Next is county administrator update. That's me. I like to use my time to share good news of the great work of our county employees and our programs. First, our Clackamas County Elections Division received compliments from our neighboring counties regarding the May special election. During special election filing, after filing deadlines as special elections occur, counties share with each other the names of candidates and ballot measures that cross boundaries over county lines for special districts, like school, water, fire, other special district board elections. For example, the Westland-Wilsonville School District Board covers both Clackamas County and Washington counties. Therefore, the elections divisions share the names of the candidates running in the special district elections for any election that crosses county boundaries. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's a function that all counties do for each other, and our county does that regularly as well. And after the recent filing deadline was closed, over 200 candidates filed to run for school, water, fire, other special district board elections just in Clackamas County. 200 people. Wow. Congratulations. Of that, our elections manager, whose name is Ann Burke Jones, and their team sent to Marion, Multnomah, and Washington counties, our joint counties, minutes after the filing deadline closed, the names of all the candidates that have boundaries that crosses the county boundaries. A record. We've never filed it that soon with our other counties. And Washington, Multnomah, and Marion County clerk or elections managers all wrote, "Wow, you guys are fast. You are raising the bar. Nice work at Clackamas County." So thank you to our elections division and the great work that they do and that they just did for this recent May special election filing deadline. Next, our Clackamas County Medical Examiner's Office employee, whose title is Death Investigator, but our Death Investigator, Christopher Wright, was recently recognized by a grieving family. The daughter of a woman who had recently passed away called our office to say that no one had been more respectful and compassionate with her and her family than Chris was. When someone passes away, that's the most difficult time in a person's life, and Chris, representing the Clackamas County Medical Examiner's Office, treated this family with incredible compassion and kindness in one of their darkest days. So thank you to Chris and our medical examiner staff, who every day treat people with dignity and respect when they're having one of their worst days of their lives. So thank you to Chris and our medical examiner's team for their very good work. That is my update today, Chair and Commissioners.
Thank you. That's really great news. We will now move on to Commissioner Communication. Up first is Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, thank you. Busy day or week in transportation. You've probably heard from me all week on this, so I do want to say today I was invited, well, I was invited earlier, but to speak at the Clackamas Rotary and shared with them some information on housing progress and challenges, and also on transportation. Lots of questions on both of those issues. I think I mentioned on Wednesday, I believe, I held up a headline of a 2016. I just came across a box of 2016 newspapers.
Was that your box, by the way?
Yeah.
His name on the printout.
Yeah. So, yeah, actually, this one does too. It says Paul say, yeah. So, yeah. I pay for that out of my personal money, not the county money, by the way. So the other one I came across, we were talking about the different homeless types, different people, and here's a February 10th headline: the Canby Herald, Canby homeless students at a crisis level. Just to put some emphasis on this conversation about children being homeless has been going on a long time, regardless where in the county. So just wanted to add a little flavor to that's something that's been on our radar. Commissioner Schrader and I have been on the commission. I think, actually, Chair Smith, you were on the commission in 2016 as well. So that's what we were dealing with then. And we've met with a number of the superintendents over these years about this. And so, again, I'd like to get some more numbers on, the breakdown of the senior citizens that are homeless or facing housing challenges, as well as all the other vulnerable types, people simply with disabilities and whatnot. But it's been a very busy week, and I will apparently be very busy tomorrow as well, and hope to be spending some more time down in the state legislature trying to encourage a hearing on our tolling bills that are out there. And it was said yesterday by Representative McLean that, I'm paraphrasing, but there's no need for any hearings on tolling. We're moving ahead, essentially. Martha was in the room to hear that, so as were a lot of other elected officials who called me right afterwards and frequently today as well. So I've been exchanging communications. There's a lot of frustration that our system, as I mentioned on Wednesday, our system was compromised during COVID. I say really our communication, public communication, transparency, our access to our elected officials, deeply compromised because of all the lockdowns. And here we are now, we're out of that, and finally get a chance to talk about transportation. We've been told, wait, this session, wait until it's ripe, or it's time. They do transportation later, and we hear from last evening an announcement basically that there's no interest. So apparently there's some mechanisms within the rules. Chair, you may be familiar with that, but maybe the rules changed. I don't know that. If there's enough members of the committee to call for a hearing, they can call for a hearing. So I'm hoping that we can bring that to everyone's attention. I think there was a lot of, everywhere I go, including today at the luncheon with the Rotary, a lot of concern and examples of way that's really going to impact me. I use that corridor frequently all day long. So it's not just once a day, it's several times per day. And the impacts to small businesses and residents of this area is it's unmeasurable, hasn't been studied. And by the way, for those of you, I only got a quick review, but if you go to our website for next Wednesday's meeting, that 40-page document of our submission for approval on next Wednesday is out there. There's a lot of good information in there. Kudos to staff and all the consultants that worked on that. Looking forward to Wednesday and getting that thing submitted to the Federal Highway Administration. That's what I have for today, Chair.
Yeah, thank you for that, Commissioner Savas. Commissioner Schrader, you're up.
Yes, I wanted to thank you for mentioning that, Commissioner Savas. It was a women's group from Lake Oswego that hosted it, and I was there with Mayor Joe Buck was there, Mayor Rory from Westland was there, Let's see.
Mayor McGriff?
Mayor McGriff was there. Yeah, she was pretty hot under the collar with it, I will tell you that much, as well. And I was there as the commissioner, and I really felt like we were being ghosted. And it's unfortunate that that is happening to us. I left thinking, and obviously you got called from the other electeds as well, that truck is rolling down the road, and we need to do a protest, I guess, holding hands to stop it. I don't know what to say, but I hope that you can go down there and convince them to have a hearing on this. Chances are, if there's a hearing, it would probably be one of those all-nighters. I know they've had them down before in the legislature as well. I will be absent on the day that the policy session worksheet will be presented with all of our information, so I have it now. I will be going through it, and I wanted to make it clear to my colleagues here as well as we send a letter out. I hope to sign it, even if it is with an electronic signature at this point, but I am adamantly opposed to this tolling plan as outlined. And I think all of us, 5 of us, are standing firm on that. And kudos to staff for putting together the packet for me to carry with me as I won't be here on the 19th. So, that being said, I'm glad I was there, and it was a disappointing meeting. But I have some other things I think that might be a little more uplifting. I wanted to let you folks know that our workforce board, Clackamas Workforce Partnership, has applied for a Business Oregon grant, which is a grant application for Economic Equity Investment Program. And basically, it's a proposal to build a business accelerator for child care providers from historically marginalized and rural communities in Clackamas County. The program will focus on entrepreneurship, business development, and workforce development, designed to provide beneficiaries with business ownership opportunities while seeking to alleviate barriers to affordable, culturally relevant childcare. As many as you know, I've been visiting KinderCare throughout our county. Their headquarters is in Lake Oswego. They are a national organization that provides KinderCare. Actually, Daimler, the corporation, actually contracts with them to provide on-site childcare for its employees. And Siemens Company does not contract with KinderCare, but they also have an on-site program. So we're looking at various models. I'm working with our workforce board to actually bring together. There will be a convening, I believe, in May with our business community and other folks to talk about the issue. So as an economic driver, largely because employees need an opportunity to have childcare so they can work and move up the economic ladder. I'm also working on a resolution that I will bring forward at the National Association of Counties together with the Human Services Committee. I'd like it to have it be a joint resolution supporting childcare as an economic driver and something that that workers need to have adequate childcare so they can be part of the business community, run their businesses, as well as work for businesses, small, medium, and large. And to that end, I've been tracking all the childcare bills that are coming out of Salem. Christina, my policy advisor, has organized this for me, and I'm looking at everything that hasn't been actually dead, and you know about that too, Dee, because these are the ones that have passed the deadline. So I'm particularly tracking issues on facilities and funding for child care facilities, because one of the things I've learned from the business at KinderCare is that child care facilities have to specifically be built for small children, small toilets, small sinks, the sizes of the rooms, how they operate and move children in and out, and all those regulatory pieces that actually, that are on the books, that you actually have to have in order to run a child care facility or structure. And there's other bills looking at home daycare, basically early learning and care to study adequacy of early learning in the state. There's all of this legislation coming down. And I've been tracking it largely because it's become a priority with the Clackamas Workforce Partnership, and I serve as liaison on that board. And I believe they're also looking at another request to submit proposals, innovate financial systems to build capacity for increased and sustainable early child care education. And this is from an early educator investment collaborative that I believe is located in Boston. Boston is one of the places I often visit, so when I get a chance to go there, I may drop by and bring back some information from these folks. Finally, I did attend the Tourism Development Council meeting the other day, and Commissioner Savas gave an update on the work that you and Commissioner Shell have been doing on basically the short-term rentals. So I was appreciative of that, and we had a whole update about the whole, what tourism has been up to. Finally, I brought this for you tonight, colleagues, because I think I told you last week I visited Malala, where they are building affordable housing with the Tabor Design Group. And they gave me the schematics here of it, and I wanted to show you. It's called Bear Creek Apartments. They're doing a great job. It's still not finished, but when you take a look at the size and scope of it, Bear Creek overall site plan, it gives us phase 1 and phase 2, and it also gives us the schematics of what this affordable housing is going to be look like, and it's going to be 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments, and it's absolutely beautiful. So,
Great.
Chair, I'll start it with you.
I love the green color.
I do too.
That is wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
I know exactly where this is.
I know you do.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's great. Thank
Okay.
you, Martha.
All right,
Anything else?
that's it.
All
That's
right.
the news.
Commissioner
Okay.
West.
Thank you, Chair. I come with really good news. We found out this afternoon, well, at least I think it's fantastic news, but this board did support Senate Bill 449 to help kids in foster care with tuition. That bill this afternoon that this board supported publicly passed unanimously off the Senate floor. It's on its way to the House. I'm pretty confident that this is going to sail through the House also. The last 3 times we've tried this bill, it passed unanimously out of the House and always got stuck in the Senate, so now it's reversed, and I think it's going to pass out of the House. So I'm excited by that. We'll help kids that get adopted in foster care still get their benefit for in-state tuition, so that's a pretty cool thing, and I think that will help the population that we serve here in Clackamas County, the young people that have been or touched the foster care system. I had the great opportunity and a really fun opportunity to visit the Wooden Shoe Tulip Farm with Commissioner Scholl and with our Tourism Development Council.
Yeah.
And so I do recommend, I actually feel guilty, I'd never been there before because it's pretty rad, it's pretty cool. And I'm like, as a local kid, like I haven't never been out here. My mom loves tulips. I don't know, I failed. So I didn't make it out there until this time. Unfortunately, because it's been so cold and so nasty and so wet, those tulips aren't ready to kind of pop their pretty little buds up yet. So we're being told that we think that tulip farm is going to be at its peak in about 2 week and a half, 2 weeks, week and a half. And then it should be the glorious fields of color in here in Clackamas County. And it was really great to see, you know, on one end of this county, we have, you know, the big dog Mount Hood that kind of takes up a lot of the oxygen on tourism. But this is like, they have people from all over the world come every year.
Good.
Every single state within a couple weeks, every single state they've had a visitor at the tulip farm. The family that runs it is absolutely fantastic and wonderful. It was a really, really good time.
Barb, wasn't it?
Barb Iverson.
Barb Iverson.
They're
Yep.
farmers in the area.
They got us
yeah.
all on a little tractor, and it was a
Yeah.
little muddy, but Oksana got to use her camera phone. and she was busy snapping photos. And yeah, we had a really, really good time. There may or may not be some goofy pictures of Commissioner Scholl and some of the TDC with the little, you know, what is the carve out cutouts? You stick your head through it.
Oh,
So
boy.
we might have hammed it up a little bit, but this is a perfect season to get out there and to take advantage of local tourism. I will be taking my mom there just before Mother's Day, where there's still tulips. So I think I'm going to get some kudos for Mom this year. Everybody out there, be good to your mother. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the Grand Juan visit with this board Monday. That's our all-day kind of fun visit we're going to get to do. And then I'm absolutely looking forward as we move forward to try to protect our community against tolling April 19th. Been, Commissioner Schrader and both Savasa spoke to this today, but we'll be reviewing that 40-page technical letter and our response and our comment response back on the inadequate EA that we have been working through. ODOT continues to push forward. Well, and it turns out with Rep. McLean's help, push forward tolling in Clackamas County. But what we have learned and what has become really clear is that they don't have any answer for diversion. There's zero provisions for other forms of transit options for people that live in Clackamas County. Our ODOT department, which is supposed to move people around, seems to not want them able to get anywhere. Seems to be more of their effort than transporting them. Seems like they want to keep them stationary and enabled to and mobile. They have zero provisions, fails to endorse the inequitable impacts to our most vulnerable population that is woefully underrepresented, and it will hurt our most vulnerable the most. No proper funding for vital mitigation measures, wholly inadequate analysis with the EA, and continue to snub and shut up and shut out the public from having to have enough time to make the comments they need to make. But I'm proud because Clackamas County is not joining the Shut Up Club, and we're going to speak up, even if Rep. McLean does not believe that there's a need for tolling hearings moving forward on critical legislation. So I'm looking forward as we advance that next week also. And that's all I have for you guys today. Sorry, I got a little spicy, but I can't believe she said that.
Oh, I know, I can't either.
Yeah.
And so what is the option? You know, tolling is not our decision, this board's or our responsibility. However, if we were have to have a town hall, I think we know what the result would be. Stop tolling, stop tolling. However, we don't have the ability to stop tolling by ourselves. We can continue with our plans. We can continue to offer up environmental assessment analysis going forward and then possibly take action on that. But it's put us, the local governments, in a very bad position. Commissioner Scholl, you're up.
Yes, good evening, Clackamas County. On K through 12 schools, the contentious national showdown on how much say parents should have in their children's schooling is coming to a head here in Clackamas County on 16 May for the special election. You'll have an opportunity to vote for new school board members, so please take time, study who they are, and vote accordingly. Also, here this last week in the legislature, Senate Bill 409 got a hearing. It would have required districts to publicly post the titles of and links to any textbook or instructional material used in K through 12 classrooms, in addition to a syllabus or summary of the course and information about the class and how it fits into the state's academic standards. Problem is the bill passed out of committee, but only after it was whittled down. It will now only require that every school district's website include a link to the Oregon Department of Education page that lists textbooks and other materials. So please vote on 16 May. And I'd also like to take a moment to say thank you to our new county clerk, Catherine McMullen, and her staff for all the work they've done to prepare for this special election on 16 May. Like Commissioner West said yesterday, there was like a miracle happened.
It didn't rain.
We went down to the Wooden Shoe Tulip Farm, And for about a 10-mile radius around the tulip farm, it was sunny and warm. And outside of that was dark clouds everywhere. It was really great. Barb Iverson, the owner of the farm, was a very wonderful host. She showed us around, also provided a nice little dinner for us there. You know, the thing about the Iverson farm, they took 40 acres out of their 1,100 acres and made it into this tourist attraction that people of all ages, including little kids, just really love. And last year, this board signed a resolution promoting agriculture in Clackamas County. And the Iverson family and the Wooden Shoe Tulip Farm is an example of what can be done on a relatively small piece of agricultural land. They've developed it into something that people, just like Commissioner West said, enjoy going there every year. So thank you again to the Iverson family, and also, like Commissioner West mentioned, it was a good time to meet with David Pendleton from the Tourism Development Council, and also with Samara Phelps, Tourism Development Coordinator at Clackamas County. I really enjoyed our talk. Next week, there are some things that people can tune in on. We have some policy sessions. I know these topics are very important to a lot of people across the county. Next Wednesday at 11 o'clock, policy session on short-term rentals. At 1:45, policy session on Measure 110. And at 2:15, a policy session on the I-205 environmental analysis from ODOT. Also, on tolling, like you've heard already from other commissioners today, we need you to contact your state rep, let them know how you feel about tolling. Download IP4, the petition, at votebeforetolls.org. Do it now. Tolling will be harmful to you, your business, your family. Take action. I also want to thank the Stafford Hamlet for their letter to ODOT calling out their concerns about the threat of tolling, and I encourage every hamlet and every CPO in the county to do the same thing. On the kicker, SRJ 26 and SB 774 would, if passed, deny Oregonians their much-deserved $5,000 to $100 average per household personal kicker refund. Get a hold of your state representative and let them know how you feel about that. On the budget in Salem, between 2001 and 2021, Oregon's budget more than tripled from $34.1 billion to $121.2 billion per biennium. This cannot go on, and we, as people, as residents of this county, must sound off. At some point in time, it's going to take such a huge bite out of your purse and your wallet and your business that it's going to make life very difficult for our people in this county. Talk to your state legislatures now and get action done. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Scholl. And this Monday, Commissioner Savas and I attended virtually, Commissioner Savas in person, the Association of Oregon Counties meeting on transportation, and there was a presentation on the new bridge across the Columbia River. They're going to want to run it from Portland to Vancouver this time, because last time they tried to run the bridge across the river, it went into Clark County, and Clark County stopped it because Clark County does not want light rail in their county. They don't want to have to build more light rail. Well, now they're running evidently two bridges. One is flatter, I guess, for light rail, and the other is more arched for cars, supposedly allowing for river traffic to go underneath. But that river traffic to the economy of both states is very important that proceed. But the biggest eye-opener for me was they're going to construct this bridge anywhere from $5 to $7.5 billion if he says everything goes right and there's no objection, and that their timeline is continued with over $3 billion worth of tolls. Now, are they going to start tolling I-5 or I-84 or Highway 26? But right now, the only plans that I hear about, they're going to toll only I-205, and that is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. The Oregon legislature is not performing their duty in allowing the citizens to come to testify on tolling. They are abdicating their duty, and as far as I'm concerned, they should not be legislators if they're not going to listen to the constituents who voted them in office. And it puts the brunt on local commissions and city councils like ours to do the heavy lifting that they aren't doing, and I think that is a horrid, horrid thing. I want to talk about housing for a minute. I think the biggest precursor to keep people from becoming homeless is rent assistance. And in the last allocation of hundreds of million dollars the Oregon legislature passed to provide housing to counties, Clackamas County received $4.4 million from the governor. And she called me to tell me about it. And I says, well, Governor, the best way to deal with housing is to keep people from becoming homeless in the first place, and that's giving them rent assistance. And this goes directly to what Commissioner Savas brought up, all the school children who are homeless across Clackamas County and other areas. If families can stay as a united unit in their rentals, I think that's probably the best way. It's certainly the least expensive way. So I think Clackamas County can do a better job with that. And so Emily Klepper, my PA, and I says, so how do you apply for rent assistance? Well, rent assistance has this really funny name. Gary, remember what that was? I can't remember. This huge long name that doesn't even mean anything. And they said, okay, we need to change our website, take down one of the things that's totally outdated on the front of our website that I didn't even know was there, and we're going to put a link with a button that says rental assistance and housing vouchers. They can click on that, they can go to the site and apply, because we have several $1 million that we need to get out the door. And I have talked to both Governors Brown and Kotek on this matter. I remember Governor Brown saying, Commissioner Smith, you guys aren't doing very good on getting the rent assistance money out. He says, well, what do you mean? Well, you're not. And I thought we were. Well, maybe the reason if we're not, I don't know if we are or not, is people don't know where to go to find it. I mean, it's hidden within the troves of H3S. We need to get the information out there so people can access it. I also think very serious consideration needs to be taken on either overturning Measure 110 or seriously rewriting it and erase the reputation Oregon has gained as a drug haven for addicts and dealers. And that goes directly to homeless as one of the causes, a very large cause. And I just want to say to anybody, the governing legislature or governor listening, I doubt if they are listening, but as we move forward, if we could please recognize county governance across Oregon is not a one-size-fits-all approach. We are the boots on the ground, the county governments who delivers the services that the state government imagines. They imagine this is going to automatically happen without understanding how to deliver the services. And I think it's behooving on us to explain to legislators, and then legislators listen to us, how we deliver services, do away with the unfunded mandates, because, after all of our constituents are the same. Same constituents that vote for us, for county commission, vote for our county legislators as well. Each county is different, and the same predetermined mathematical formula for each county will ultimately offer a failed approach to some counties. And when I talked to the governor this week, 18 counties are included in her emergency declaration for homeless. Only 2 met her metrics. Lane County and Deschutes County is what she told me. So I think that's very telling. This county has been engaged with Multnomah County and Washington County with the Metro Bond and the Supported Housing Services Measure for many, many years. And let's face it, Commissioners, when it comes to the low-hanging fruit on housing homelessness, most of that fruit has been picked and harvested. And the rest of it is very problematic, very difficult to solve this problem. And I just wish that the brand-new legislature and our brand-new governor would at least recognize that and help us create this problem together, or help solve this problem together. Seeing no further business before this commission, we are adjourned.